So I think it's pretty obvious at this point that there's something going on with Joe Biden's cognitive functions. All right, that's putting it mildly. We're not trying to go after his character or his health. There are more than enough reasons to dislike Joe Biden based simply on his record. If you don't like war criminals, well, then you won't like Joe Biden. And this is not the same Joe Biden that you saw in the Obama era or before that even. The guy used to be sharp as a tack. All right, go back, go watch any footage of Joe Biden in the Senate. He's very sharp. He's very smart. He knows how to speak. His campaign are saying that he has a stutter. And they're saying, how dare you talk about him? This is unfair to people who have stutters. Well, look, man, I didn't see no stutter back then. So what's up with that? Now, if you still don't believe me, I'm going to show you a series of clips where Joe Biden, I mean, the things he's saying are incoherent. They don't make sense. He's embarrassing himself. And it's really bad. Take a look.
Friend, time friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
Chris. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other guy. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont? One of the things I'm proudest of is getting passed, getting moved, getting control of the Paris Climate Accord. I'm the guy that came back after meeting with Deng Xiaoping and making the case that I believe China would join if we put pressure on them.
You had people like you had people like the former chairman and leader of the party in Germany.
Go to Joe 30330. Watch what happened when those kids from Parkland came up to see me when I was vice president. They went into and some of you covered it. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words. And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
They don't call Super Tuesday for nothing. By the way, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, this is oh, you switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me.
Look, man, obviously, his campaign are very aware of what's going on, to the point that they are hiding him from the press, and people are realizing now. Rachel Maddow literally just begged Joe Biden on air to come on her show because she sat down with Bernie Sanders. She did a long interview with Bernie. But where's Joe?
Here's my on-air plea to the Vice President Joe Biden campaign. It was great to have this sit down here with Senator Sanders. I came all the way to Vermont to meet with him to do this extended interview. I would happily do the same for you. Haven't talked to you at all since this campaign started. I'd love to. Just saying.
Just look at this. You're kind of running for president. Maybe you should, sit down and do an interview once in a while. Would be nice. Just saying. And you also have a tweet from this guy, Brent Welder. He says, I worked to elect Joe Biden in 2008. There was no childhood stutter back then. This is not the same Joe. And you can see from his campaign, they're saying the only test that hasn't been done is the cognitive functioning test. And this is emblematic of the hypocrisy that we see. When Bernie Sanders has a heart attack, oh, they go wild. Oh, they go wild. They can't stop talking about it. Release your medical records. Why haven't you released your medical records? You just had a heart attack. You can't be president. So they want to talk about Bernie Sanders' health concerns 24/7. They want to ram that down our throats. But when it comes to Joe Biden, no. Don't make fun of him. You're making fun of stutters. How dare you? You're being rude. Really? There's something going on. I don't care what you call it. You can call it a stutter. You can call it dementia. You can call it karma for being a war criminal. But there's something up there. And this guy can't run for president, let alone beat Donald Trump in a debate. This is ridiculous. Now, speaking of debates, guess what they've done? The DNC has announced that they're changing the March 15th debate. It's not going to be a debate. They've canceled it. There's going to be a town hall, a nice town hall where we sit down and we take questions from the audience instead of being actually properly scrutinized by debate moderators. That's if they're impartial. But you see what they're doing here? The establishment is working to mask how bad Joe Biden's cognitive functions have become. They're trying to prop him up so badly. They're hiding him from the press. But since they can't avoid this debate now on March 15th with Bernie, they have to turn it into a town hall because they know that Joe Biden won't stand up, won't do well one-on-one when it's just two candidates left. This is so ridiculous. And the Bernie Sanders campaign are not happy about this, rightfully so, because they know that Biden won't stand a chance against Bernie. So look what they said. Why does Joe Biden not want to stand toe-to-toe with Senator Sanders on the debate stage March 15th and have an opportunity to defend his record and articulate his vision for the future? Asked Jeff Weaver, Sanders' senior advisor. Weaver said that's proof that Biden is scared of standing up and debating Sanders. Joe Biden does not want to go head-to-head with Bernie Sanders, stand there for 2 hours and go back and forth with Bernie Sanders. He wants it broken up with audience questions because he knows in that environment he won't fare very well. On Saturday, Faiz Shakir, Sanders' campaign manager, also retweeted a reporter who remarked that Biden spoke for only 7 minutes at a rally this weekend in St. Louis. Bernie has 3 public events just today in 2 different states, each speaking engagement extending for close to an hour. So as you can see, Bernie Sanders is running around doing God knows how many public events. I mean, who could keep up with the guy's schedule, right? Like, there's so much. He's really campaigning hard. He's doing it right. He's doing 2, 3, 5. I saw in Iowa, he was doing like 5 town halls a day. The guy is really doing his best. And Joe Biden goes and speaks for 7 minutes? Who do you think you are, Led Zeppelin? Dude, you're running for president. Let's say that he doesn't have cognitive issues, right? Let's put that aside for 1 second. You need to campaign. This was Hillary's mistake in 2016. There are states she didn't bother campaigning and she didn't bother visiting them, just like Joe Biden. There's a lot of arrogance and gambling right there. Bernie Sanders never agreed to this town hall. You had a junior staffer on the call and they said they'll think about it. But then CNN went ahead and just sealed the deal. Of course they would, man. This is the establishment. Remember what happened in 2016. Donna Brazile, she was getting them questions from CNN and then leaking them to Hillary Clinton before the debate. You really trust them? How could you, man? How could you? We know they're corrupt. We know they're like this with the Democratic establishment. You can't trust them. Even if you have a town hall, you're going to have plants in the audience. Of course, the whole goddamn election is orchestrated and rigged. What planet are you living in that you could deny that? This is the reality. And by the way, for the people who are saying that, man, looking at Joe Biden, this is such a sad sight. This is elderly abuse. Look, if we were talking about anyone else, any other older person, my grandparents, your grandparents, yeah, I'd feel sorry. That is elderly abuse. But if you think that I'm going to feel sorry for some war criminal who made sure I can't see my grandparents, who bombed my country, destroyed my country, then you are sorely mistaken. I don't feel sorry for that piece of shit, all right? I don't care if he has dementia. I don't care what he has. He shouldn't be anywhere near the goddamn White House. What do you want to elect him for, so we can keep bombing countries? Are you fucking out of your mind or something? Have you goddamn lost it? This pisses me off. Don't expect me to feel sorry for this guy. No way. And if you really think he stands any chance against Donald Trump in a general election, you are on crack. Legit. Just today, Donald Trump was making fun of him again. He already calls him Sleepy Joe. All right? But take a look at what Joe Biden said.
And turn this primary from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me, we can only reelect Donald Trump.
And then Donald Trump says, I agree with Joe. He's openly making fun of him, man. Donald Trump is going to decimate him. It was going to happen regardless. He did it with Hillary, who's way sharper, way more popular. He can do it just with the records alone, just with their political careers alone. Because of all the bad decisions that they made, he can clobber them over the head. He can demolish them in any debate, any public event. Easy. Walk in the park, man. But on top of it, you have this? You think that guy is going to stand up to Trump? If you think that's going to fare well, you're just as cognitively impaired as Joe Biden. All right? I can't put it any other way. And again, there are some people that are so shocked and taken aback and, oh, how dare you speak so ill of Joe Biden? You remember what they did with Castro during the debates? When he said, you just said that. Don't you remember what you said? He was just indirectly bringing up Joe Biden's issues. And they scolded him for it the next day in the media. How could you? Go to hell, man. You feeling sorry for a war criminal? You feeling sorry for a racist? What's wrong with you? How dare you defend that? Whose side are you on? You siding with an establishment hack? You're siding with a fucking war criminal? You're siding with a racist, segregationist piece of shit? You're siding with someone who mass incarcerated millions of people? Have you lost your fucking mind? Whose side are you on, man? You siding with the Wall Street boys? There's something wrong with you, not us. So don't give me none of that. This really makes me angry, man. They're going to such lengths to defend this abomination of a person and a politician. This person who is responsible for the misery and suffering of millions and millions and millions of people. Scores of people. Untold amounts of people. He's responsible for their suffering. You're trying to defend him. You're trying to prop him up against someone who's fighting for people's rights, people's civil rights, people's dignity, their health care, their future, their mental health, their physical health. You're trying to prop him up? Shame on you. So look, man, I'm not a doctor, but I don't think that this is a stutter. If the guy had a stutter, you could have seen that in the decades and decades of footage. You would have seen it there, all right? Why is it only manifesting itself now? This is beyond just a stutter. And the establishment is clearly trying to hide him away. His campaign has acknowledged in the past that they are hiding him away. They're trying to keep him out of the public eye as much as possible. And now they are coordinating with the news media, which I've told you a million times, is an arm of the DNC. CNN, MSNBC work for the DNC. So they are coordinating now to make sure that Joe Biden doesn't get into an actual debate with Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders will mop the floor with him. And Donald Trump will do it even better, to be fair. Donald Trump will make an even bigger spectacle, because that's his thing. He's a showman. He doesn't care. He doesn't hold back. He's not interested in saying Joe Biden is a friend of mine. No, he will bring up Hunter Biden. He's going to bring up the Iraq War. He's going to bring up NAFTA. He's going to bring up every goddamn thing that Joe Biden ever did wrong. And he's going to beat him over the head with it. But they know that even against Bernie Sanders is going to be bad. The guy has a bad record and he can't even speak properly. They can't cancel the debate outright, so they're toning it down now and turning it into a little comfy town hall where, we can sit down and converse like this and not actually be scrutinized. No. That's not going to work against Trump. You're not going to have a town hall against Donald Trump. They don't care if Biden loses to Trump, because the establishment will remain intact. The corporations will maintain their stranglehold over the entire political apparatus. Absolutely no difference if Biden loses. They just care about maintaining the status quo, keeping their donors, and making the 1% happy. That is it. As much as they claim to hate Donald Trump, he is not an existential threat to them. Bernie Sanders is. The establishment is trying so hard to stop Bernie Sanders, they are willing to put forth a candidate that has dementia, that has something going on, if you want to put it mildly. All right? That is how bad they're trying to stop Bernie Sanders. Unbelievable.